Hey there storytellers, welcome back to my channel and welcome to the final day of Bookmas, day 25. Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas. Thank you all for joining me for this ride of Bookmas and for spending this whole year watching my videos. I'm at almost 100 subscribers right now, which is kind of crazy to think about because literally maybe a year and a half ago I had literally like maybe 8, and I appreciated those 8 people greatly for watching someone random on the internet, but I appreciate all 98 of you greatly for watching my videos and subscribing. It means a lot as someone who's trying to really work at BookTube and make it something that is really kind of part of my creative career that I hope to have going forward. So thank you very much for watching, but without any further ado, let us get into today's video, which is going to be some of my most anticipated books for 2022. I know, we still have like a whole week and a half-ish left of December before the new year, but it's coming and I'm thinking about it because there are some books that are coming out that I am super excited for, and I thought I'd share them with you today. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Oh, I should say some of these I won't be describing very well because they are sequels to stories that I haven't read yet, so I didn't want to read the synopses and spoil them for myself because that would be upsetting. So I'm hoping to get to the stories, the first installments in these series that I'm excited for, so that I can then look at the synopses and see where we're going, but there are some that I'm just not going to explain very well because I'm trying not to spoil them for myself, just so you know. And the very first book that I am trying not to spoil for myself is Bloodmarked by Tracy Deonn. This is the sequel to Legendborn, and Legendborn follows this group of kids that are sort of part of the secret society called the Legendborn, and some of them are like Merlins, and then some of them I assume are kind of Arthur figures. Basically they hunt demons, and this girl Bree gets swept into their secret society after sort of going to this boarding school after her mother dies. There's a whole lot of backstory in there that I'm sure I'm missing. Some of it has to do with magic and she displays her powers, I think, but it's a whole thing and it sounds so fantastic. It's an Arthurian retelling and I'm so here for it, but I haven't read it yet, so I cannot read the synopsis for the second one because this is one that I really don't want spoiled for myself. Next, we have Melt With You by Jennifer Dugan. This follows 2 girls who used to be best friends on a road trip across the country to help save their mother's ice cream truck business. Their mothers are business partners and their ice cream truck is like going under, and these girls don't want that to happen. And even though they've had a falling out, they figure, okay, we're gonna have to spend the whole summer working together to try to save our mom's business. And there might be a little bit of romance going on in the in-between. So it sounds like a cute, summery contemporary, and I'm absolutely so excited for it. I loved Hot Dog Girl. I did not get to Verona Comics yet, or some girls do. I'm really behind on a lot of books that I want to read. But I did love Jennifer Dugan's writing style in her first novel, and I have no doubt that I will love her characters and love her more developed writing style now. So I'm super pumped for Melt With You. The next one I'm so excited for is called Book of Night by Holly Black. It follows our main character Charlie, who is working as a low-level bartender, and basically this is a sort of modern fantasy where it's set in this world with magic where people can manipulate shadows, but manipulating the shadows has a cost. Of course, manipulating them helps you gain power, so it's a cost versus power imbalance kind of thing going on. But from what I understand, Charlie can do it at a low level. She kind of cons people basically, and I think she gets swept into this secret society where I assume she kind of takes off. It's kind of lauded as something that you might be interested in if you're a fan of The Night Circus or Ninth House, both of which, well, I've read The Night Circus, loved it. Ninth House is on my list, but I do enjoy a good secret society moment, so this sounds so promising, and I loved her work on the Spiderwick Chronicles. Have I read anything else from Holly Black since? No. Have I wanted to? Yes. I'm getting around to it. Okay? I have the Wicked King and all that other good stuff, Cruel Prince series, but this one sounds so good, and it is an adult fantasy, which I'm pretty excited for. Next, we have One True Loves by Elise Bryant. This is a sequel to her first novel, Happily Ever Afters, which follows this girl who writes romance stories, but she's like in a rut. So her friend or sister or someone convinces her to like have her own romance to get her inspired and like get her out of her writer's block. And she's like trying to make it like the perfect rom-com kind of romance where like the hot guy falls for her kind of thing, like the perfect popular guy. But I believe there's another guy that enters the picture that might be a little bit of a better fit. I haven't read this one yet, but I really want to. It sounded so good, so the sequel is definitely on my radar. Next, we have Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Sulin Tan. This is a debut fantasy, and it follows this girl. She has powers that are being hidden because her mother stole the power from an immortal deity and then was exiled. Her mother was the one that was exiled. And then our main character goes to this celestial kingdom on a quest to try to clear her mother's name, I assume, and sort of help save her mother. And she kind of falls for this guy, this prince, that may or may not be good for her. I'm paraphrasing it badly because it just sounded so good. It sounded so good. Next, we have Hotel Magnifique by Emily J. Taylor, and this is praised. And this is lauded as something you might be interested in if you are a fan of The Night Circus again, or Caraval, both of which I have read and do really enjoy. And this follows our main character, Janny, who has kind of spent all her life working in this little town and taking care of her sister and just kind of dreaming of a bigger, more epic life. And she ends up applying at this hotel, and the sort of cool, enchanting thing about the hotel is that it kind of pops up unexpectedly and no one really knows where it's going to show up next. So she and her friend decide they're going to apply because they can't afford to stay a night in the Hotel Magnifique. So they decide, okay, we'll work there instead. And that turns out to be kind of a bad idea because once you apply to work there, you work there for life. And basically, she gets swept up into this game, I assume, to try to get out, to try to leave this hotel so she's not trapped there forever. And the only person that seems to be kind of on her side is a vexingly handsome bellman. So it sounds like we're gonna have a little flamey romance, a little crazy game, crazy fantasy, like magical realism kind of vibe going on. Like I said, loved The Night Circus, loved Caraval, so anything kind of similar vein. It kind of also gives me maybe like Shadow Game series game vibes, or even Daughter of the Burning City. Like they're all kind of the like magical, like high stakes game kind of vibes, and I'm so into those. Next on my list is I Kissed Charlo Wheeler by Casey McQuiston, and this one sounds insane. It follows our main character, I think Chloe is her name, and she's kind of been moved to Alabama, and she's at this Christian school, and she just kind of doesn't fit in, and so she's kind of been dodging everybody while there. And the only thing that's kind of kept her going, kept her working towards not running away from school, is becoming valedictorian, and the only person standing in her way is Charlo Wheeler. And this girl just one day up and kisses Chloe and then vanishes. And it turns out she kissed her longtime quarterback boyfriend and someone else, and the only thing these three people have in common is that they kissed Charlo Wheeler and that they have these cryptic notes left by her that are leading them through like parties and break-ins and all kinds of crazy shenanigans. And Chloe is learning that there might be more to this town that she's in and more to Shara than she thought. But it kind of sounds like this crazy like Westing game kind of mystery. I hope this girl's not dead. That would be kind of a gruesome ending. But I love Casey McQuiston's writing, so I'm hoping this one's kind of gonna be, it seems a little different than the last two, and I'm hoping it's kind of the best of both of them, and it gets all the kind of crazy like Westing game vibes going in my brain, so I'm hoping that's what it's like, because that would be amazing. Next we have A Wilderness of Stars by Shay Earnshaw, and Shay Earnshaw wrote The Wicked Deep, which I'm a big fan of. It was kind of spooky and cold and atmospheric, and it gives me chills, but it was so good. And I have another book by her, Winterwood, and apparently as I was looking at Goodreads to make this list, I realized I missed a couple more, so I'll have to look into those. But Anyway, A Wilderness of Stars is about this girl named Vega who has lived in the seclusion of a place called the Valley her whole life, and she's kind of been safe and protected, but one day she sees stars falling and she realizes it's an omen she can't ignore, and she leaves the valley and the outside world freaks her out. People are sick and losing their vision and their hearing and they're dying, and she doesn't really want to tell anyone that she is the last astronomer, which is a title passed down through the generations, meaning she is the only one with the ability to hold the knowledge of the stars, and the knowledge of the stars might come with the knowledge of a cure for everyone. But she kind of keeps this to herself until it gets outed because someone sees the tattoos on her back, and then the townspeople are after her. And she gets help from another girl called Cricket and this other boy, Noah, who is kind of marked with some tattoos of his own, and they kind of set off in search of like a cure and the knowledge. And I think the lines kind of get blurred between whether Vega is sort of their prisoner or their friend, but it sounds kind of, again, atmospheric and potentially like spooky and just kind of like full-on mysticism vibes, and I'm so here for it. Coming to the end here, next to last is Tokyo Dreaming by Amiko Jean, and this is the sequel to Tokyo Ever After, which was basically kind of a Princess Diaries vibe in terms of its plot. It's about this girl who finds out, she finds out her father is a prince in Japan, and I'm trying to remember, she goes to visit him and his family and kind of learns the ways of like royal life and kind of gets caught up in tabloids and stuff. It kind of gives me like Princess Diaries meets like What a Girl Wants kind of vibe, where like this girl finds out she's a princess, but then she goes off and tries to fit in and she doesn't quite fit in because she wasn't raised there. And so the tabloids kind of have a field day with her like they do in What a Girl Wants. It just sounded so good and like just like the contemporary vibes that I wanted at the time. I didn't actually get to it, but it's still something that I really want to read because I do love stories like that. Like The Princess Diaries is one of my favorites, especially the film. It's even better than the book in my opinion. No shade to Meg Cabot. I love the book, but the movie's a little bit better. It's all Anne Hathaway. She's magic. But Tokyo Ever After sounded very similar, but like with all the richness and fun of Japanese culture. So I'm so excited that there's a sequel and I cannot wait to pick that up. And last but not least, we have Sophie Go's Lonely Hearts Club by Rosa Lim. And this is a contemporary novel following our main character, Sophie, who has just returned from Shanghai to her hometown of Toronto, where she has become a matchmaker in Shanghai. And until she gets outed as a fraud. Yeah, that's right. Sophie comes back and she hadn't actually graduated from matchmaking school, so now no one in Toronto that is part of her community wants to risk an inexperienced and unaccredited matchmaker making love matches for them. They don't want to chance fate like that. So she becomes an outcast until she discovers a secret club of like 70-year-old gentlemen that live in her apartment complex. And they're all lonely. They haven't found love. They haven't found that person that makes their heart, you know, full. And Sophie sets up, and Sophie somehow convinces them to let her do their matchmaking and find their matches for them. But she gets a little bit more than she bargained for in terms of having to deal with their loneliness and their needs and what life brings that she hasn't experienced yet, that comes into finding the perfect match for these gentlemen. And it just sounds kind of sweet and like there's going to be some mishaps, but it ultimately sounds like it's going to be a really heartwarming contemporary novel, so I'm into it. And so I'm in the vibes, guys. I just want the vibes. But that is it for today's video, and that is it for Bookmas, guys. It is the last day, day 25. We have come to the end, unfortunately. But if you enjoyed this video, do let me know by leaving a like down below. And what are some of your most anticipated reads for 2022? I am dying to know whether they are being newly published or they're just ones you haven't gotten to that you are like, I'm getting to it in 2022. I want to know. Share them down in the comments with me and everyone else. But for now, I'm going to get going. If you want to keep up with me and all of my bookish adventures, you can go ahead and click the subscribe button. And of course, I absolutely highly recommend that you ring the little bell so that you don't miss a beat, because it will notify you every time I post a new video, which won't be for a little bit actually. I'm going to take a break and take like the last week of December to myself, just to sort of reset for the new year, to enjoy the rest of the holidays with my family and to just chill a little bit. But you will see me again in the new year, so don't fret. Just ring that bell so you know exactly when my new videos go up. But I will see you guys then. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your festive season and a wonderful new year. I'll see you guys then. Bye!